Welcome. That was awful. That was awful. I need to keep that in. Travis is laughing at me, so I'm going to start the I'm literally going to keep this in the podcast.
Cold open before the intro plays.
Yeah. Yes. What'd you say? Okay, Travis going to count us down. Welcome back to another episode of Pokémon. I screwed it up. I screwed it up again. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Team Yap, the Pokemon podcast. Today is just one of those days, Chris. But you know, we're here, we're ready to yap, and I'm excited. Yeah,
we're here coming fresh off a good community day and a fun weekend for Pokemon.
Chris and I met up with two of our coworkers, Travis and Jordan, and had a fun community day on Saturday. And that was what? Bellsprout?
That was Bellsprout.
Which I was excited about because I did not have any shiny Bellsprouts yet. So that was fun for me.
Yeah, from same here. And I went in with low expectations because the images that I was seeing online when I would look up shiny Bellsprout, they didn't make it look as different, or I just wasn't paying enough attention. Because when I actually found it in the game, I was like, wow, that's actually quite a difference. Like the leaves are
super gold.
And, yeah.
Like a really nice gold.
And shiny Victory Bell is actually pretty nice. Mm-hmm. Pretty nice.
What's the middle evolution?
Weeping Bell.
Weeping Bell? Nah, that one's okay. Victory Bell and Bellsprout are good. The shiny Bellsprout reminds me a lot of the shiny Magikarp color in Pokemon Violet. Because they changed that from just like kind of a lukewarm yellow shiny to like straight up gold, like shiny gold.
Oh, is it actually like metallic gold now?
Oh yeah. In Violet, shiny Magikarp looks so cool.
I actually haven't seen it.
Oh my God. You got to check it out because that is high on my shiny want list in Violet.
Maybe that'll be the next hunt.
Yes. And so yeah, no, that was exciting. We all got a lot of Pokemon. I convinced Travis to get a Pokeball Plus, Pokeball Plus. Because I mean, some people think it's cheating. I don't think it's cheating, particularly when it's officially licensed by and put out by Niantic or Pokemon Company.
I think you get your money's worth.
Oh, totally.
I mean, I don't have one myself, but I mean, you're automatically catching random things. It only gives you one try at them too, and I've seen the woes of that when looking at the journal.
Oh yeah, no, I literally texted Chris last night because for a while I wasn't connecting my my auto catcher, and I have been trying to be a little bit better about it because it's so great. And so I connected it on my way home from my partner's parents' house last night, and for some reason I had an inkling to check the journal, and knew I shouldn't. Like if I ever feel the need to check the journal, I know that I shouldn't. And I saw that a shiny Combee ran away from my auto catcher, but thankfully it was a male and not a female, because if it was a female, I would have been devastated.
No evolving that Combee.
No. So, best case scenario for that. So I'm okay. It's nothing compared to the Furfrou that I missed. I will never forget that.
Yeah, that one, because that one, it had run away because you got too far from it while you were trying to catch it, right?
That one, it was the same deal where like the auto catcher was the one in charge. It threw one ball, okay. And it was probably too high CP, and it ran, and I checked the journal and I immediately regretted it. So
when you feel a disturbance in the force, don't check your phone. Do
not look, because there's a reason you feel that way. This is your big reminder not to do that. So please don't do that. Keep yourself sane. So that was really fun. I really like when we get to meet up with our coworkers to do anything Pokemon related, but also other not Pokemon related things too.
Oh, for sure. It's just good to get out with everyone and have this. I mean, that's why we started this, because we have this thing that kind of is able to bring us all together.
Exactly. It's a community builder.
Outside of the work.
Totally. And, so one of the things that I haven't told Chris yet, which I think this is a good segue into that, is, so I'm in a lot of, well, you know this, I'm in a lot of Pokemon Go related Facebook groups. Mm-hmm. And there was one in particular that I really enjoyed. And it was it was called Pokemon Go Ladies Group. There's like 40,000 members. It's very like, now the thing about Pokemon Go Facebook groups is they're very judgmental. People are kind of mean, and by kind of, I mean very. It's not very community based. But there are some niche groups that like are really helpful and kind and accepting. And if you don't know as much as other people know, like they don't care and they'll help you out. And one of those groups that I'm in, or was in, was the Pokemon Go ladies group. And, you know, I really liked it because just people of all skill levels there, like it was really cool, like really accepting. But something that I noticed while I was in the group was the admin team or the modmin team, whatever you want to call them, was like really, really active. And like most of the posts that I would see would have their comments turned off. And I never really like knew why, because it was like whether they like deleted comments that like were kind of weird or mean or whatever, and then turned the comments off. I don't know, but it was basically on a lot of posts where it's like, I don't know how there could be any like strife here that would require the comments being turned off. So that was kind of my first red flag. And, you know, I would always, Facebook algorithm is weird. Like you, will occasionally see a lot of posts from certain groups, and then all of a sudden you like won't see any anymore if you join more groups after that, because then they're like, oh, you'd rather see posts from these groups. So I didn't think anything of it, the fact that I hadn't seen posts from this group for a long time until like I was like, because I'm in another group called Old Ladies Playing Pokemon Go or something like that. You just have to be over 20. So I'm like, I'm over 20. Like I'm an old lady, I guess. Like I'll join this group. So I had only been seeing posts from that group and of course some of the other groups that I'm in. And it got me thinking, I'm like, did I get like blocked from this group? Like, where is it? So like I looked it up. It wasn't there. So like I hadn't been removed either. So either the group got zucked, like the Facebook, I know I said that term the other day. Whoever I was saying it to had never heard it before, but it's like, I feel like
this is my first time hearing that.
That is
which is surprising. That
is the official term for when like Facebook groups get deleted because Mark Zuckerberg, whatever. So zucked is the term. So I'm like, it got zucked or I got blocked. And so I texted my buddy who has Facebook and I'm like, Jerry, can you please like look up Pokemon Go ladies group to see?
I need to know if it's me. I need to know if it's me.
And so immediately he does. He takes a screenshot. He sends it to me. It's still there. And he's like in all caps, what did you do to get blocked?
Did you do?
And I'm like, what did I do? Like I barely interacted. I'm mostly a lurker when it comes to community groups like that. I just like to feel like I'm a part of the community without like actually contributing. But I did every once in a while. If I knew the answer to something and it didn't have a million comments already, I'd give some help because like I play the game a lot. I know a lot about it. Yeah. And so it was just really bothering me. I was going to let it go. But then my buddy found, Chris is laughing at me. My buddy found a page so it was the Pokemon Go ladies group page where like the admins, you could message the admins or whatever. So it was bothering me. So I messaged them. I'm like, hey, I noticed I haven't been seeing any posts. I really enjoyed this group. I don't know why I've been blocked. Like, could you give me any insight? Like, I'd really like to rejoin the group, all this stuff. And I was being very nice. Mm-hmm. And they responded, I'm going to pull it up because I want to get this correct. But they responded with, and before I like say what, because they responded with a screenshot of what got me banned. And said, we don't allow promotion and it leads to a ban. We'd consider if you appeal in 3 months. Just message us July 20th and we'll discuss. Thanks. And so the screenshot is, and I immediately remembered what post I was commenting on, but it's a screenshot of, it's circled, something I commented circled in red. And I had said, It was a post of somebody who lived in Vermont, who didn't have any Pokemon Go friends, and was looking for people to raid with, didn't have anybody nearby, all this stuff. Like, oh, I have the perfect community for you. And so I said, if you're anywhere near Chittenden County, I recommend checking out this group on Discord. And I linked to the Burlington Pokemon Go Discord that's super active. And I said, the group is fairly active and folks seem to meet up pretty much every weekend for raids. Now, I'm in a million groups on Facebook. I don't have all the group rules memorized.
Yeah.
Like, here I am just seeing some person that is looking for community, Pokemon Go related, in Vermont. I'm like, here you go. This is the perfect community for you. Now, the funny thing about this screenshot is, so this was about a month ago, right? Maybe even longer, because it took me a long time to realize that it wasn't showing up. The funny thing about this screenshot is it was circled. If you look at when I posted it, it says like 20 minutes ago. So they
got on you quick.
They screenshotted that like 20 minutes after I posted it and then kept it in some sort of like a repository.
Yeah.
And then pulled it out when I asked them why I was banned.
So I understand the rule against promotion.
Sure.
But immediate ban with no notice.
That's what really gets me. It was like no warning, no letting me know that I had done that, no like 3-day ban, immediate 3-month ban. And it was 3 months from, they're considering 3 months from the day that I texted them, because I texted them on April 20th. And so April to May, June, July, that's 3 months from then. I've already been banned for a month. So needless to say, I'm not messaging them in 3 months because there's no point in like being in a group like that. That is so heavily moderated. You can't even like, I was just trying to build community, you know, like,
they can run their page how they want,
but you know, it was just a funny saga for me because I was like, I realized it and then I messaged them and then I got that response and I'm like, whoa, okay, this is, you know, I enjoyed the community. There's many more like it. Yep. And I like the old ladies group better anyways. So, you know, that's my saga.
Thanks for the memories. Moving on.
Exactly. Yeah, so that was a little disappointing, disheartening. But you know, like I said, I don't have all the Facebook group rules memorized. And you know, nor does it really bother me that much, especially now that I know that it wasn't like I did anything like really wrong. Like I was just trying to help this person out. So that's my funny little anecdote for today. And I'm just glad that they got back to me because if I had been left in limbo wondering what I had done, it would have eaten at me.
You did something horrible and you can never know what.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was that. And you know what? I also did something fun about a week ago. And this is something that I have never done before. And one of our coworkers is really into this hobby. I was talking to him a lot about it. And the convention for this was right near where I grew up. So like I was able to go home and go to this thing without having to do a hotel. And what that was a furry convention. And I've already told Chris all about it, but I want it on the record on the podcast because it was really fun. And there was surprisingly like a lot of Pokemon stuff there. I guess surprisingly, like surprisingly is not the word to use there. Excitingly, a lot of Pokemon stuff there.
Only surprise would be for me is if you didn't see a Gardevoir anywhere.
And I didn't, you know, I no Gardevoir, no Lopunny. I was really expecting to see a Lopunny.
Okay, hang on, how?
I know. But, you know, and I was talking to our coworker Drew about this too, like before we even went. And he was like, Lucario is super popular in the furry world.
I mean, of course.
And it makes sense. But so I go and I see 2 Lucario, like full fursuit Lucarios, super high quality, like really well done, totally looked like Lucario. And the cool thing about that was Drew was saying like some people that make fursuits like try to like shy away from being super accurate because they get a little uncomfortable about like making copywritten characters as fursuits, but these were like super accurate. Like, I mean, some proportions were not accurate because you can do whatever you want when you make a fursuit. But 2 Lucarios, a Greninja, which was super cool.
I was a big fan of seeing that one.
I immediately sent pictures to Chris because I know that he loves. Stan. I know that he's a Greninja stan. And then I also saw an Archon. I don't know, Pokemon pronunciation again.
One of those fossil Pokemon from 5th gen, little bird.
Very cute, colorful bird, dinosaur type bird. Really impressive, like super cool to see. Like I was taking it. So this was during the fursuit parade and I was taking a video of the whole thing and you can hear me in the background freaking out anytime I saw something Pokemon related.
I haven't seen that, but I need to.
I will show that to you. It's 20 minutes long.
My statement stands.
So the interesting thing about that was, so the convention was called Furcation Land, and this was its 2nd year. It's in Portland, in the old Portland, Maine, and Drew was telling me that the con doubled in size from last year, and this is its 2nd year. And I don't know how many people were in the fursuit parade last year, but there were 398 people that participated in the parade this year. And then there was like some crazy number of like actual participants, maybe over 2,000 or something like that.
Yeah, he was telling me something.
So that was really cool. It was just and then also they had like a dealer's den and artist alley. So like a lot of stuff for sale. I spent so much money on like Pokemon pins, Pokemon stickers, a Pokemon little art thing. I wanted to wear it today, my new shirt that I got, but I wore it the other day, so it's dirty. But this cute little Arcanine. This cute picture of an Arcanine wearing glasses and it says Pokenerd. And I'm like, this is me to a T. And I'm like, I have to buy this.
You didn't get me one?
It was one of those things where it was like, and I'm so lucky that I got one that actually fit me. It was like last chance because she was selling like other ones. And then those were, I think, probably like older designs. Okay. So she only had a couple of sizes left. And I'm like, please have something that fits me. She totally did. And I was very happy about it. So that was probably one of my favorite purchases of the con, but I got there was a couple of Pokemon mystery boxes that I bought, which I still need to bring in because I got a duplicate little plushy EV keychain, because I bought 2 mystery boxes, which I probably shouldn't have. So Chris gets one of those. And so, it was just a lot of fun. A lot of, another thing was I made a Drifloon cosplay. I did only wear it on Friday because I was like, this isn't really the vibe.
I think the vibe is whatever you make it.
That is a very good point. But people were mostly in actual fursuits, like
full body costumes.
That too, or like the heads, or like the little ears, or whatever. But I'm so proud of the cosplay that I made. Like, I totally want to wear that for like Halloween or something. Like,
yes,
I cut out I just got a purple shirt. I got some ribbon. I cut out felt in a little heart shape to make the little legs, and I attached those to my arms. And then I made this awesome, with pom poms, hot glued pom-poms onto a headband to make the cute little cloud puff. And then I put yellow tape on a mask to do the X mouth thing. And it was just fun. I really enjoyed being crafty again. I haven't crafted in a long time. And that was a really good opportunity to just dive into that. So I was really pleased, and I was glad that I went, and I highly recommend, if you are into anything like that, to check out a convention if there's one near you, or not near you, because it was fun to go to.
Sounds like a lot of fun, and sounds like, conventions in general I've never really been to or done, and so that's definitely something that I want to kick off the bucket list one of these days.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was saying to Drew. I was like, the only convention I've been to before this has been a community media conventions. So the vibes were completely different. But
I bet.
But at the same time, it's still the same thing where it's there's a whole group ceremonies, and then there's panels where you get to choose what you want to go to at one time, and so it was a really cool experience, and I'm glad that I got to do that. So yeah, well, you know what? We're going to end our yapping there because this is our very special episode.
We have a movie to go over.
Our first film review. Baby's first film review.
Baby's first film review.
And if you're expecting a high academic, educated film review,
We're not film majors.
you are in the wrong place.
We're Pokemon nerds. We're going to watch the movie and gush about it, and whatever else stands out to us just from the movie itself, that's what we're going to go off about.
Yeah, and so we kind of talked about it before we watched the movie, and some of the stuff that we discussed we wanted to like watch for was the score, the animation, the story, our favorite scenes, things we forgot about, behind the scenes and background info, which neither of us did, so we don't have any of that for you. Sorry about that.
Maybe another time.
Maybe another movie. And then also comparing movies to the anime. And like, could the movie be split up into episodes? Is it best as a movie? And then does it feel like a good Pokemon movie? So I took notes based on those. And so we watched, did we already say this? We watched Pokemon the first movie.
We watched Pokemon. We haven't said what we watched. We watched Pokemon the first movie, and Emily actually went the extra mile and watched, which is funny because this is something I said I would do and didn't end up doing. She went ahead and watched the remake of the first movie as well.
Which was, so that's was it a Netflix original?
I think it was at first, but I know it's it's on Amazon now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution is the actual title.
Yep.
And it's slightly longer than the original.
Okay.
Just slightly, like maybe 10 minutes longer.
So the original movie is only like 75 minutes long.
Yeah, it's short. You can consume that very quickly.
Which, I mean, in today's days of like the MCU and your Endgame and your
like close
Snyder
to 3
cut.
hours.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Like this was
like
refreshing.
nothing.
This was refreshing, honestly, to be like, oh, I just watched a movie and my whole day isn't gone.
I've been here barely an hour and I
Yes.
took in all that content.
Exactly. So
surprisingly, a good amount for that movie. There was so much that I forgot about.
Oh my God. So that was a big point that I made in my thing where I say, where is it? In my things we forgot about section, I put, I didn't remember most of the movie.
Same here. The entire opening section before we even see Ash and the gang, I completely forgot about. I completely forgot we got such an expanded backstory from Mewtwo.
Totally, me too. And like, I totally forgot that Giovanni, like, there's a Team Rocket backstory. Like Giovanni comes in and he basically like, well, before we get into it too much, maybe, do you want to do it or do you want me to do it? Somebody should give a overview of the premise of the movie.
Okay, I think I'll go into it. So Pokemon the first movie, it's Pokemon the first movie. Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, because I believe most Pokemon movies had multiple subtitles.
Yeah.
Because this movie is advertised as Pokemon the first movie, but once you actually start watching it, it gives you the title Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Premise is pretty much scientists discover DNA of the ancient Pokemon Mew, and they wanted to see if they could recreate that. Giovanni funded that research and wanted to create super clones of this ancient Pokemon. And that is how we get Mewtwo, who wakes up as the only successful experiment and isn't really happy about being an experiment, which I'd say is fair. Very fair.
I would agree.
And so then enacts a plan to strike back, as it were.
Yeah, he basically wants to eradicate humanity.
Humanity and their Pokemon. Any Pokemon that have been captured by humans.
And
sees them as enslaved.
Exactly. And then create clones of those Pokemon that don't kind of bow down to humans.
Yeah, that are stronger and will live apart from humans.
Yes. So super intense movie for a kid's movie. Like, so intense.
Surprisingly brutal. And I know this is jumping ahead quite a bit, but there's a very iconic scene later on in the movie that is surprisingly rough.
Totally,
but,
yeah.
And that's later on, so I don't want to go into too much detail right yet. Is there anything that you wanted to start off with?
Well, just like one of my favorite scenes was, well, I guess we can talk about like the animation. The animation of that movie is so 90s and it's so good.
Very 90s, but very good.
Like
90s.
Such good animation. Like really honestly, I put in my notes stunning. Like it was stunning. And
Same. I have stunning visuals and setting. I really liked the island and the whole structure that Mewtwo had.
yes, so that was, I mean, it's just a really cool like visual movie. And the title animation when Mewtwo strikes back, come on, that is so cool.
Very, very nice. Good font, very striking.
Very striking. But the old school, like I literally have in my notes, the old school 90s animation style is unbeatable. And
for sure.
I'll get into that when we start talking about the remake.
Oh boy, I can only imagine because I mean, like, okay, it's weird, but I kind of love the grain.
Oh my gosh, yes, totally. Like just the grain of it, and just like knowing that it's a little older, it's like it's super nostalgic.
It's charming.
It's very charming. It's got character, and in terms of the score, something that I had forgot about was Mew's theme. Every time Mew is on screen, there's this beautiful like little musical number that comes on.
It's like
I don't know what instrument it is, but it's very airy, fairy, light, and super nostalgic. Like the second I heard it, I like teared up a little because I'm like, I remember that, and that makes me happy.
I'll be honest, I don't fully remember Mew's score, although I can imagine it being like very, very light and.
It's super cute
Frills
and so fitting to what that Pokemon is.
Oh, for sure. Oh, Mew was absolutely adorable throughout this entire movie.
And the little
even during
Mew
the fight.
noise. Oh my God, yeah.
Even during the fight, Mew was the cutest thing in this entire movie.
I have in under my favorite scenes section, Mew is so cute in all caps.
I have Mew double underlined with 3 hearts next to it.
Oh my gosh. See, so we're on the same page there. My favorite Mew scene is the windmill scene where he sits on the windmill and then falls and then goes Mew every time he hits the next windmill blade. Literally, like, I mean, is that necessary to the plot?
Absolutely not.
No.
It's adorable.
Is it necessary for the plot in my heart?
It adds to
Yes.
Mew.
Totally. It builds Mew's character.
Yeah. Which for as much character as a voiceless character can have.
Yes, because Mew doesn't talk at all. Mewtwo, on the other hand,
Mewtwo
is very angry and talks a lot.
Using full-on telepathy and has some words for humans.
Yes, indeed. So I don't know. I guess like we can talk about.
Do we want to start with just after Giovanni comes in? Because I had some interest. Just a couple of things I really wanted to.
Sure. Well,
point out.
Before we do that, one of the things that before Giovanni comes in, like. And we already kind of said this, but the movie's already so intense in the first minute.
Yep.
Like totally sets the tone for the rest of the movie. And one of the things that I really liked was the opening lab scene where Mewtwo wakes up and you just see all these professors. And here's the thing about the animation. The color in that scene is so good. Like it's muted. It's kind of like sepia tones. Their eyes are shaded. You can really like
Mewtwo is the focus here.
Mewtwo's the focus, and you can tell like the kind of shadiness of like these scientist characters. Like these are not good people.
And the conversation that follows with Mewtwo, like Mewtwo is questioning his existence, and they're just like, well, more experiments to be done, I suppose.
Totally. And one of the funny things about that is, like, again, we keep coming back to the fact that this is a kid's movie. Like, this came out in 1999. So
kids media went harder those days.
It totally did. And one of the funny things about that is, so my partner, Jordan, saw that movie in the movie theater. And I was like, I'm jealous.
Same.
Super jealous. He was like 7 years old when it came out. And I never saw any of these Pokemon movies in the theater. It was all like on Cartoon Network or like on DVD. So I can only imagine the experience of being like a 7-year-old watching this movie in a movie theater.
Oh goodness. I would be the worst because this movie definitely made me cry a lot as a kid.
Same.
Like, multiple scenes.
Totally.
Going back and watching, I'm like, wow, that definitely destroyed me back then.
Yes. So the lab scene, just already in the beginning, it's like, it's crazy. It's super intense. And then Giovanni comes in and...
Yeah. By the way, after the island has been ruined by Mewtwo and
he explodes the building.
The building is just a flaming pile by the time Giovanni
Yes.
comes in.
So go ahead, Chris.
So for one, of course, this is where we get the iconic armored Mewtwo. That is like, it's a thing in Pokemon Go. I don't think it's ever been in any of the other games. But it's just such a cool design for a very one-off kind of thing. And so I really do appreciate that they did that for Pokemon Go, even though it's been like, the one time and that's it that you can get it?
If you were not playing when they released Armored Mewtwo or the clone Pokemon, they released the clones of Pikachu, Venusaur, Bulbasaur, and Charizard.
All right, now I'm really upset. I'll get into that later.
I literally was watching the movie and I was on eBay, like being like, okay, is this going to be the first time that I like buy a Pokemon on eBay?
I am going to cut in here to the podcast and say no.
I was so jealous. I'm like, I cannot believe I wasn't playing Pokemon Go when these were released because I've already looked on eBay for Armored Mewtwo's before, but the clone Pokemon too, man. Like, I am so jealous of the people that have Armored Mewtwo and the clones because it's just so cool. And and you're right, like it's only been released once. They've only been released once. And I have a feeling they will not be released again unless Niantic gets money hungry, which they already are.
Well, yeah, because they had initially done that for Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, right?
I can't remember if they released Armored Mewtwo for that, but they definitely released the clones for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they also released Armored Mewtwo. Release the clones. Sounds like another Pokemon movie. So yeah, but super cool character design on the Armored Mewtwo and just the whole concept.
And that whole scene, that like montage scene of him training his powers in the armor, I feel like, I don't know if it was ever touched on in the anime. Is that Viridian Gym?
Oh.
I think it's Viridian Gym because a very particular note that I have here, Gary fights Mewtwo. I
thought that was Gary.
Gary fights Mewtwo with, Arcanine and Nidoking, which... oh boy, I'm thinking. Oh no, never mind. I was thinking about Gengar and I think Nidorino are in the original.
Oh, in the opening of the video games.
The original, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was like, because I watched the original and then I watched the remake right after, and I was like, that's got to be Gary. Like, I mean, he's got an iconic hairstyle.
It does show it in the remake too.
It does show it in the remake. So the remake is not a 1-to-1 remake. They rewrote the script.
Oh.
Not completely, but quite a bit.
See, I did watch the remake, but I don't remember much from it.
So it's not exactly the same.
Do we want to hold for...
Let's hold, but there are many points in the original that are in the remake, and then there are things that have been changed completely in the remake. Not huge things, like little moments. Like there's one of my favorite scenes in the original that they completely changed in the remake, and I was like, what the heck? I understood, but at the same time I was like, really?
I think I know what you're talking about, and we'll get there.
Okay. So yeah, we'll just keep going down the kind of the plot line, I guess.
And I also just wanted, because I had to put this into the top here, Mewtwo bent his spoons. That poor Alakazam in the beginning.
Oh my God, I missed that.
He was ready to square up, and then he got his spoons bent and slammed into the wall. Like, okay, I am not the strongest psychic Pokemon here.
Mewtwo is just the amount of picking people and Pokemon up and slamming them into walls.
gave no care for because later on and just more speaking to Mewtwo's power, the introduction to Mewtwo being taking one of the trainers, throwing them against the wall, and then his Gyarados launching a Hyper Beam and just blocking it with one hand. And
then getting that Hyper Beam thrown back at him.
And then throws the Rhyhorn for good measure.
Yes. It's like they're really showing off that Mewtwo is this super strong lab created
Mewtwo is the strongest one in the room.
Yes.
Very clear.
Very clear.
But so before any of that, we got to get back to so after the what I'm guessing is the Viridian Gym testing Mewtwo's power, going into actually meeting up with Ash and the gang.
Yes. Starting
off in that nice little flowery field.
It's cute. It's especially in the original movie, that scene. That battle scene with the theme music over it, with no talking,
that's classic,
super classic Pokemon.
That and one other thing much later, staples for the movies.
Absolutely.
It's always got to be like Ash and the gang are doing something, just chilling. Somebody rolls up wanting to battle Ash, or I start on a battle sometimes. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then theme music starts playing, and Pikachu's overpowered.
Pikachu's crazy, bro.
Pikachu in that battle, in one shot, a Golem, Pinsir, and a Venomoth.
And then you like see them like twitching on the ground. It's like poor guys.
Oh.
But yeah, no, like, so it's very quintessential Pokemon, and like you just kind of see the power that Ash has, which is kind of funny because it's like here's this like 10-year-old boy and his like jacked Pikachu that can like destroy anything in his path.
I mean, like Pokemon games, you're always the quote unquote 10-year-old kid off to save the world. That is very true.
Yes.
Take down this evil mafia organization and.
Well, and while they're doing this battle, you see that they're being observed by two different people, or two different groups of people.
There's two different angles.
One being Team Rocket.
Because of course.
Because Team Rocket's always there.
The classic, the wonderful, bumbling villains.
And Jessie and James and Meowth, such good antagonists. They're very endearing. Like, I mean, they're kind of annoying at parts because they're always like double trouble. Wait, time for trouble. Why can't I think of what it is? Make it double.
Get ready for. Oh boy, why am I now having trouble? Oh no. Make it double.
Yeah, seriously. But classic antagonists.
Their usual spiel, and I thought it was funny how they act. It's later on too, and it kind of almost ruins a moment for me when they like start their kind of thing. It's later when the Pokemon are fighting and they. Yeah.
Yes.
I found that cut in almost a little bit too much for me. But
I agree with you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
And in the remake, they changed what they say, and that still bothered me because I'm like, I was just like, I don't need to see you right now.
Okay. Well, for right now, they're getting up to their usual shenanigans, just watching them.
Trying to steal their Pokemon and just keeping an eye on them.
Always got to get that Pikachu.
Yep. And then we also see a Fearow with a camera on its neck.
A camera attached to its neck.
Like very high tech.
Extremely high tech. I mean, anime, they'll do their thing. I mean, when they get handed their invitation, it's a hologram.
That too.
On a tiny little, like... and I do want to touch on how fast is Dragonite?
Bro, I have it again. I have in my notes, Dragonite Messenger, so cute.
Adorable. But like
where are they compared to where he was on the island?
I would be very interested.
And he was there in 2 seconds.
Exactly. Like that was too quick. And then adding on to that Dragonite, as it's leaving, Jessie just holds a frying pan up and stops it in its tracks.
Right, which is like, okay, now how strong is Jessie?
Exactly. It's like, I get it. It's funny. It's a gag, but it's just like thinking about these things with real logic.
Yes,
you just can't. Like Mewtwo psychicking up a storm.
Suspend your disbelief
for sure.
So yeah, Ash gets this invitation, this holographic invitation. This woman appears and. Basically being like, the strongest Pokemon trainer alive wants you to come to his island to battle him. And they're like, okay, why not? This isn't suspicious or creepy at all.
It doesn't seem like a trap at all.
And so they make their way to where... New Island, but before they get to New Island,
then getting to the Pokemon Center.
Yes, first. They get to where they're at this harbor.
It's like a harbor, and there's a massive storm going on. The harbor master goes off about it, like with some random unknown sea storm legend,
which is basically foreshadowing because she's talking about like Pokemon tears, like being able to like help. I don't remember exactly what she says, but she talks about Pokemon tears.
I only just made that connection because I was thinking, why is this line even here? What does this mean?
Yep.
So thank you.
You're very welcome. I mean, for me, it was like super obvious foreshadowing
It's
I'm
still
like,
a little like,
but
really?
it's like, why? This is so random. Like, do we really need that foreshadowing? I don't think so. And like, do we need this random character that we never see again? Like,
it took me till I was today years old when I found out that was foreshadowing.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I personally don't think it's necessary, but like knowing what comes next and like towards the end, like it's like, okay,
For
this
sure.
is
It gives more context to that and makes it feel better and not just like, well,
random.
It happens just because.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
that's what it felt like to me, not knowing.
Totally, yeah. So there's this big storm going on. There's a bunch of trainers that got the invitation, and the harbor master's like, and Officer Jenny, I forgot that.
And he was there as well. No Nurse Joy in this Pokemon
No
Center.
Nurse Joy, because Nurse Joy has gone missing. And there's a missing poster of Nurse Joy on the wall.
I think is hilarious because they're identical.
Exactly.
But Brock can tell.
Brock can tell, and that was one of my notes. I don't know how I forgot this, but Brock is an extreme ladies' man. I knew he was a ladies' man, but the amount of which it's referenced in the anime is pretty extreme.
He's fawning over somebody in like every episode.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have the other gags put along in with the crew, whether it be somebody dragging him away by the ear or he had another like his own Pokemon that would attack him when he does these things. And
see, I forgot how much I really liked the classic trio of Ash, Misty, and Brock. Like, there were some other great side characters throughout the anime and over the years when they go to different regions and stuff like that. For me, Ash, Misty, and Brock, like, that is Pokemon. Like, when I think about it, because I watched so many of the original anime episodes with them.
For sure.
And I mean, when you play like Red and Green or Leaf Green and Fire Red, maybe even Yellow, I don't know. Those are the gym leaders. Like, I mean, Brock is in it, Misty's in it. So it's very Pokemon to me. Like,
I mean, they definitely eventually. I mean, they keep changing out the female lead of the cast every season. At this point, they swapped out Brock at one point for Tracy very early on, and then after that, I don't think Brock ever left the squad again until Sun and Moon. I'm pretty sure.
See, I don't remember a lot about the anime.
Because once Tracy left and Brock came back in, I don't think Brock left the main cast again until Sun and Moon and anime era. Yeah.
Well, Brock is like, again, such a staple like character. Like, I mean, Ash is your character, right? We follow Ash until, when did they get rid of Ash? Like last year, this year?
Like last year before, maybe?
So that's over 20 years of Ash being a protagonist, Ash being 10 years old and the protagonist of the anime. So it's just, I really liked the original crew, and this movie reminded me of that. But basically, so we're in this room. There's a bunch of Pokemon trainers. There's a huge storm going on outside. They're like, no, we're not. The ferry's canceled. And
Pokemon.
Yep. And then you've got 3 trainers and Ash, Misty, and Brock that are determined to get to this island and fight this trainer. And so the 3 that I mentioned, they use Pokemon to cross.
Yep, one takes off on their Pidgeot, one sets sail on his Gyarados, and the other, the said Gyarados that got hyper beamed back in the face.
Yes.
And then the other takes off on her Dugong.
Yep.
And then our intrepid heroes sail with Vikings.
Amazing scene. Such a funny scene.
This is my favorite joke in the whole movie. Because it's just stupid and meta. And like, why? But
it's so random. It's like, why are you dressed as Vikings? Why are you pretending to be that way? But then having Meowth on the like front of the ship as the little like mermaid kind of crest thing.
Jesse and James are dressed as like stereotypical like old Nordic Vikings
with the classic like horn
with
hat.
The horns and everything, putting on this accent, and Meowth is tied up on the front of the ship as like I completely forget the
I don't remember what that actual thing is called, but like
it's a thing. Like it'll be like a statue of a woman or out on the front of a ship.
Yes.
And they totally not suspicious at all. So Ash and the gang, like, yeah, sure, we'll like Vikings. I didn't know they still existed. And then Ash cuts in with, yeah, I think they mainly live in Minnesota.
I forgot that line. Literally, like it's a little bit of a humor break that you kind of need in an intense movie like that.
And also
it's so random.
And I think it helps to cut in, just make you laugh, to make you forget, why are they agreeing to, this is very random.
Exactly. So I have that as one of my favorite scenes.
It's like, how do they keep falling for Team Rocket's nonsense? I love it, but
you gotta go back to the whole like suspend your disbelief, but also these are technically 10-year-olds. So
Ash is 10 years old. I believe Brock is a little bit older. Misty, I'm not sure.
Brock should know better then.
Brock should know better.
He's too busy thinking about women. So, and then halfway through, it's really intense. They get a big wave crashes over them. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's Team Rocket. Like, oh my God, no way. Like,
I had no idea.
And so they all kind of go over the side, and then Misty sends out her Staryu. Is that the name?
Yeah, Staryu.
Ash sends out his Squirtle. They slowly make their way to New Island.
They just kind of clump together and hope.
And they make it. And who's waiting for them but that random woman who...
From the hologram.
...is not so random.
Totally doesn't look at all... Like, the fact that Brock can recognize and distinguish
knew right away
between,
that it was the kidnapped Nurse Joy.
Yeah.
He knew right away.
I mean, like, this is a very old movie, so apologies if there's spoilers for the movie ahead.
If you're watching this, like, you have already been spoiled, like, so much. So, and sure. If you're watching this and you haven't seen the movie, I feel sorry for you, because it is an amazing movie.
You know, even if you're watching this and haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. Enjoy the movie.
See the movie. Enjoy the movie. It's an hour and 15 minutes long. It will not take up much time of your life. It's really worth it. But yeah, so you see the assistant who's in the hologram, and she's like, I'm going to take you to Mewtwo. Or she doesn't say that. I'm going to take you to my master.
Yep.
And so they enter into this room with the 3 other trainers that made it there. And it's so funny. That scene is so funny to me because they're all like, here's my Pokemon. Here's my Pokemon. You haven't met my Pokemon yet. And you just like get to see all the Pokemon that they have for some reason.
Which one I kind of just love.
I enjoy that. Totally.
I don't think we get a whole lot of just trainers kind of chilling around with all their Pokemon
and being like, here's my favorite guys.
Like here's my team. Here's my
exactly.
dudes. Like,
it was cute. It was cute, but it was also like, so watching the remake right after watching the original was like a weird experience because like you can still remember some of the lines from the first movie, and then you're like, that's a different line. They changed the script here. Why'd they do that?
I'll have to go watch the remake after that. I mean, we'll talk about of course, but
it was an interesting experience. I recommend. I just recommend it as like. As an experience of watching a really good movie and watching a not so great movie.
Getting the perspective shift.
Yes. But basically, like, they're in this room, and then Mewtwo is revealed as the strongest trainer alive, which, you know, it's not an actual person.
The wording, I believe the wording they use is Pokemon Master.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they say trainer when referring to Mewtwo. They might on the...
In the invitation they do, but I
believe in the invitation they do,
like,
but
when
once
they're there,
they get to the island...
He's the master, man.
Yeah, because the whole deal is master of Pokemon and humans. Yes. I have that in my notes here.
Yep. So, and then I'm trying to think of how this exactly goes, but it cuts to Team Rocket, who
arrive separately on the island. I don't believe they arrive in the harbor. They go through a storm drain? Yeah,
like a storm drain, sewer drain type thing.
Yeah, because they end up on a completely different part of the island.
And so they sneak in, and they end up in this like lab room, and they see Bulbasaur, Venusaur, and Charizard in these like test tube like things, like they're incubating in these like goo tubes, pods, whatever you want to call it.
Tubes, pretty much.
And they're like, what the heck is going on here?
Which then cut to, we get a who's that Pokemon joke.
Several who's that Pokemon jokes in this movie.
Several, but just to start off with, we get the machine is trying to the machine detects, I believe, probably like detects Meowth or
he's like on the conveyor belt or something, and then
starts
like,
moving, and then it looks like it's going to take him away. It just plucks a hair off of him. We get a big display on the screen with a silhouetted Meowth. Who's that Pokemon? It's Meowth.
oh, Jesse and James. But then Meowth gets cloned.
Meowth gets cloned, and there's a clone Meowth chilling in a tube.
Yep, and so, but then, and like, it's pretty fast. Like, it cuts to Team Rocket, and then you get a little bit of background about like the clones and stuff from a video that plays that the scientist left, and then you go back to the room, and that's when
things start to kick off. That is when, God, I forget the exact order of events, but Mewtwo just starts messing up everybody.
Yes,
and then Ash actually is like, no, I'll take you on. Mewtwo says, is that a challenge? We cut back to the clones, and down come the Charizard, Venusaur, and the Blastoise, and we get the full reveal of the clones. And I realized, like I think this is my first time remembering that they're supposed to be enhanced clones. They're not supposed to be 1-to-1. Like, that's why they have the striping and the different patterns.
Yeah.
And Blastoise's cannons are different.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, the very ends of the cannons have like 3 like almost spikes kind of
cool
coming off of it, and
I missed that. I saw the little markings on Charizard, the flower petals, and is different for Venusaur, and the little markings on his skin is different.
That's the only, as far as I know, physical like difference to the silhouette or anything. Yep. But I love clone Charizard so much that I don't know why, but I love the dark red tiger stripes on the. Oh, it looks so good.
I really like. I'm partial to Venusaur anyways, but I really like the Venusaur because of it's very like prehistoric. The markings on them. So
I love it. Almost kind of makes me think of like a precursor to Megas.
Interesting. So yeah, the clones, they come out of their little tubes, and then they go up to the with Mewtwo, and conveniently one of the trainers has a Blastoise, one of the trainers has a Venusaur, and
who's got a Charizard?
Ash has the Charizard, which I forgot about until he sent it out. I forgot that the whole storyline.
Well, yeah, because I'd realized at one point we had Squirtle and Bulbasaur both just out and chilling. And I'm like, where's Charm? Oh wait, he doesn't have a Charmander. Mm-hmm. And then it was also later when we got the reveal of all the different teams of Pokemon. We saw the first guy with the Pidgeot, and then you go to the next two, which Blastoise and a Venusaur. In that moment, I realized, wait, the first guy doesn't have a Charizard. Oh, that's right, because
it's Ash.
But the cool thing that I really liked, I love nicknames in the anime, just because I love it's just a cool thing to have referenced. That it's a thing you can do.
The funny thing about that is, so you can clearly so the Blastoise is nicknamed Shell Shocker. Dope nickname. I was not watching the first movie with subtitles, so I didn't understand what the nickname for the Venusaur was until I watched the remake, which Brute Root, that's a dope nickname. I thought he was saying like Frou Frou. I'm like, why is your Venusaur named Frou Frou?
And that is my Venusaur nickname from now on.
I was like, that's cute. Like, okay, I like that. And then I watched the remake and I'm like, oh, Brute Root. Like, that, I guess, fits better.
I love that nickname. Like,
does Ash have a nickname for Charizard?
Ash actively acknowledges it might not have a nickname, but here's Charizard.
That's right. He does say that in the movie.
Which
funny.
Again, also was like, I kind of like that. They're actively acknowledging, like, nicknames and shiny Pokemon are the weird things that I love when they get to.
Yeah, that's I forgot that was a thing until this movie, like the nicknames. But also, like, I watched a YouTube video semi recently where some guy was like trying to catch all the shiny Pokemon that appear in the anime in some of the video games. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's such a cool idea. I didn't realize so many shiny Pokemon appeared in the anime, like in comparison to like how rare they are. So that's a cool little Easter egg.
Ash even has one.
Which is it? The Hoot Hoot, or what does he have?
His Noctowl. Yeah.
Noctowl. That's right. Yeah. So that's a really cool little extra thing there. So yeah, the clones are fight the real versions. The clones fight the real versions in the little initial gym battle area, and then they lose hard. They get destroyed. They lose which is
the power they must have over them is insane, considering, type matchups and all that. Not that the anime ever cares. I referenced the Pikachu one-shotting Golem earlier.
Yep.
But, so the battle ensues, and I specifically in my notes have Brute Root versus Venusaur Plus, I called it. Because that wasn't a fight. That was getting thrown. Oh, again.
Like literally smashed up against the wall. Like,
that happens a lot.
Hey, Mewtwo, like he's not messing around.
No.
So I believe after the Pokemon get defeated that
I was going to touch on just real quickly Charizard versus Charizard versus Charizard.
Sure.
Just because that fight, I don't have anything for the Blastoise fight because it was like a blink and I miss it kind of thing. Because I looked down to write notes and it was already on Charizard versus Charizard. Like, oh, okay. I was tempted to rewind, but I was like, it's all right. This is the fight I'm mostly focused on anyway. Because that actually went on for a bit. And it was just very beautiful, like when they went up soaring
and stuff,
and then up soaring and fighting the back and forth in front of the moon. Oh, that was
super
so
cool.
Beautiful. But then Charizard loses.
Yep.
Gets seismic tossed into the ground. And so Mewtwo wins that fight and says, "My prize, your Pokemon."
I missed that line. That is hard, honestly. Like, and then I have a note here where the Pokeballs that Mewtwo uses to capture so a bunch of these Pokeballs come and start to fly around. And
this was one of the first scenes that hurt me as a kid.
Really?
Because I hated watching this happen, them getting their Pokemon taken from them like that.
They're all running and screaming.
Like, it genuinely, like, kind of scared me as a kid.
Totally. I mean, and these are not normal Pokeballs. These are like black Pokeballs with eyes. Like
that
these
catch Pokeballs.
That can catch Pokemon that are in Pokeballs. Like these are like overpowered, and these Pokeballs don't exist anywhere else other than this movie as far as I'm aware. I did put a note that I'm like, this would be a dope design to actually have a Pokeball in some of the video games.
Oh, absolutely. I would love that.
That would be so cool.
If it's just regular Pokeball effect, I don't care. That's cool as hell.
Totally. Yeah. But it's a really another intense scene where all of these trainers are trying to shield their beloved Pokemon from getting taken.
Like, one scene in particular, Ash, when Pikachu's the last one standing of his Pokemon, and there's like 6 or 7 Pokeballs coming in, he just takes them right to the back. Yeah,
totally. He's trying so hard to protect Pikachu from getting taken, and he's saying, "Run, Pikachu, run!" And he's running after him, and finally, Pikachu's thunder shocking all these Pokeballs, and he's trying so hard not to get captured, and I mean, it's futile. Like he gets captured, but Ash follows. Ash is determined.
Oh yeah, no, he's not giving up. You do not take that man's Pikachu.
No, he follows immediately down the chute where they're all going and holds on to the Pikachu. And here we have another
most insanely athletic 10-year-old of all time, by the way.
Ash. You do not want to get into a fight with Ash. We get back into who's that Pokemon joke because Jesse and James are still in this lab room.
And they get it wrong the first time.
Wait, what did they say?
There was a Scyther on screen and they said, "Alakazam."
Okay, I saw that and I'm like, did I see
the
shadow wrong?
I had to rewind to make sure.
That is so funny.
I wonder if it's a dub thing.
Maybe. Interesting.
I might want to go see if I can find the original subtitle, or if there is a subtitled version, because it is older. There should be. But I want to see if that was just a translation error.
So funny.
Because
I wonder if that's on purpose though.
They get the next 2 right.
So strange. Maybe they're just trying to be like, oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. These guys don't even know what a Pikachu is.
Exactly. So Ash comes down and so all these Pokemon are going through this conveyor belt and getting cloned as they go through this machine.
And you see them come into the tubes and they're chilling.
Another crazy intense scene where it's just like, oh my God, again, kids movie. But then you see Ash come on the conveyor belt and Jesse in the original, Jesse and James don't even say anything. I'm pretty sure he just says, "I don't have time for your stupid motto," or whatever. Because they don't even start to say prepare for trouble.
I think they just are like, it's the twerp.
Yes. And Ash is like, I don't have time for you.
They definitely react, and he doesn't even react to them.
No, he's focused on
Pikachu.
saving his Pikachu. And so Pikachu does get cloned, but then Pikachu pretty much immediately gets released from the ball. And so do all the other Pokemon.
With a convenient explosion.
Yes.
I understand it's from the machine overloading overloading from Ash's interference with rescuing Pikachu. Because he's in there busting it all up on the inside, tearing apart those little mechanical arms that are trying to get at the Pokeball.
Yep.
Which then that explosion, conveniently, all the Pokeballs come flying out and all the Pokemon are there safe and sound.
Yep. And
which we then cut to like such a sick scene for Ash we cut back to the battlefield. The other trainers are being like held up against the wall by Mewtwo, and the walls in the actual structure explode. And the clone Pokemon come walking out, and Mewtwo's acting like this is fine, whatever.
Yep.
Like my place is blowing up, but my guys are here.
Yep.
But then Ash comes in leading the charge with all the OG.
Smoke all behind him, and the Pokemon are all behind him. It's a super epic scene. I will say, in the remake, they change whatever line he says, and it is not nearly as epic. No. It's like, this is cringe.
I'll have to go look again, because I do remember, at least, like, I didn't have any problems with what he said when he came out in the first movie.
It's just not as cool as the original. Whatever he says, I can't remember what he says. But
what he does say after, because I'm too excited for this moment.
Totally.
The two, we get this nice wide shot of the two sides. Ash is approaching, leading in front of all the original Pokemon. Mewtwo is there with his clones all around him. Ash goes up. They have some sort of back and forth. I forget all that is said. Ash just says, "You're mine," and runs in with his fist ready to go and throws a punch at Mewtwo.
And of course it's blocked.
Well, yeah, Mewtwo just throws him off to the side, whatever. But I'm just like, I wrote down in my notes, Ash throws hands with Mewtwo. I popped off.
That was a very cool scene. And then that leads into, so Mewtwo shoves him away, but Ash is protected by a bubble that Mew creates, and suddenly Mew is there.
I'll save you.
And Mew is all like, "Oh, hi!" Like he's not talking, but like playing around with Ash and like creating another bubble and jumping on it and popping it. And then Mewtwo is like, "Is that my original? Like, is that who? Like, I think it is." And then like starts to try to like, I don't remember exactly how it happens, but he like sent dark pulse or something towards him. Like
he just launched what I'm assuming is Shadow Ball. And sent Mew up flying. And then Mew's like,
not today.
Oh, no.
And so then they, I don't exactly remember the train of events here, but then they immediately start fighting, or they have a little bit of a conversation.
It was back and forth between the two of them / Meowth translating for the audience for Mew. And then, gosh, I'm trying to remember exactly. It did mainly just jump into the Mew versus Mewtwo fight, at least at the start.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, just the entirety of Mew versus Mewtwo, visually wonderful.
Super great. Like, super stunning. And, like, well, Mew says something like, Pokemon don't need to be super strong or have super strong moves. Yeah, like, it all comes from the heart. Exactly. And then Mewtwo's like, well, then we won't fight with moves. Like,
exactly. He turns off their special abilities and is like, go.
Now just like beat each other up.
And they do. And it is rough. Like, it is brutal.
It is super brutal.
Pokemon versus clones, surprisingly brutal in my notes.
They're like, they're completely going after each other. They're messing each other up. And I will say, so I knew, like, that was the big scene that I remembered, like, because that's what most people remember from the movie is the Pokemon fighting scene.
Well, and of course, because of the song that plays over it, too.
The song, so that's this movie is so 90s. All of the music is super 90s, like, I don't know the exact like term for it.
Almost like it's a 90s movie.
Well, it is a 90s movie, but like the music, like the song that's like playing during this fight is like, "Brother, my brother."
It's a very sweet song of like,
and they're all just like
together,
beating each other up, like while this song is playing. Like,
it's rough too. Like, you see,
super sad.
I think like the Nidoqueen are really punching each other out. Even the two Hitmonlee at first, I was like, they're two fighting type Pokemon. It's the Bruce Lee Pokemon, whatever. But then one of them gets a knee to the face, like. Oh.
One of them, so the one that sticks out to me is, do I have it here? Which is like less brutal and more funny to me, is the Psyducks. Like one of the Psyducks slaps the other and then they both hold their heads. And then the other one slaps the other and they both hold their heads.
I was thinking about that too. Even that for me, because the slap sound effect that they use is like just so...
It's loud. I mean, it sounds like a slap.
Yeah.
Totally.
They
and then,
really wanted this to hit like they should not be fighting like this.
Totally, yeah. And then of course you have Ash's Pikachu refusing to fight back.
Try to be the one, and then just the clone just slapping him.
Pikachu refusing to fight at all. And Ash has enough. He's like, I can't watch this anymore.
Clones tire themselves out.
All these Pokemon are like, they're all like getting super tired out, clones and originals alike. And like all the side characters are like, they're not supposed to fight. These are all living human beings. Like,
all while Mew and Mewtwo are still going at it.
They're totally like going at it. And Ash is like, they're up in the air and then they finally come down and Ash is like, I've had enough. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he goes and he like Mew's powering up.
Someone has to say no.
Someone has to say no. Mew's powering up. Mewtwo's powering up. They go and they send their moves out. Ash runs in the middle. And then
I would just like to show you my note on this because I'm not sorry.
Let's see. What does he have? What does that say? Saint.
That's a hyphen, so it's like one word.
Saint Ashchew statue. Statue. Ash turns into stone. He's a statue, as Chris has in his notes. For some reason, in my memory, it's reversed. I remember the Pokemon turning to stone and Ash crying and helping them.
Huh.
Which is not the case. Ash turns to stone. Pikachu is devastated. Pikachu is trying so hard to like...
Pikachu is like doing the whole... I mean, the gag bit that Pikachu would normally do of shocking Ash, like to wake up or whatever. But, and it's like...
Nothing. It's so sad. And then like it comes into a wide and you just hear Pikachu like, crying and like, and trying to shock him. And like, you just see it as a wide and he's like, just sounds so sad. And it's like... oh, this is rough. But then
Protag just died.
He literally is like essentially dead. Like he's turned to stone. Nothing's working. But then
this was the first movie they could have said, and Pokemon's over.
It's done. We're done. Luckily they did not, because they have continued to make people happy for over 20 years. But then all these Pokemon, they're so exhausted. They are seeing this Pikachu like have so much love for his trainer. They all start tearing up. And you just see...
So do we.
And so do we. I cried again. Like I Jordan was watching it with me. I said, I'm going to cry. And I did cry. All these Pokemon start tearing up and the tears just start going towards Ash. And then finally, like there's one final tear from like Pikachu and Ash is revived.
And the storm breaks.
The storm breaks.
Sun comes down.
It's a clear day again. And all of a sudden... Mewtwo's like,
maybe no. Maybe bad.
Yeah, Mewtwo's like, maybe I got this wrong. And the ending is very quick. Like Ash gets revived from all these tears. It's a beautiful scene. Like the sparkles, especially in the wide, you see all these tear sparkles going in towards the center of the screen. And then Mewtwo's like, yeah, you know what? I effed up. And
this will stay with me forever, but maybe y'all should forget about this. So
Mewtwo rises up, all the clones go with him, and
they'll fly away.
And I don't know, like either, and it might be a combination of the two. Their memories are erased, but they're also taken back in time.
That's the thing that I don't understand is like it either has to be some kind of minor time reversal, or Mew and Mewtwo literally took all of these people on shore included, erase their memories to the point from before leaving or something.
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but again, it's a Pokemon movie. It doesn't need to make sense, but it does feel like a very abrupt ending. I'm like, are you kidding? They don't remember this? Like, this was so intense. I'm going to remember this. Like,
this will still
erase my memory. Like,
true.
But and then the storm clears up, and Nurse Joy is back, and Ash kind of sees Mew in the sky and was like, "Did you see that? What was that?" And I was like, "No, you're just seeing things." Like, and Ash was like, "Oh,
Misty and Brock just start gaslighting him.
King gaslighters right there. Like, oh, you didn't see shit." Like,
well, no, Misty literally says, "Maybe you're just seeing things, Ash." Yeah. And then Brock cuts in like, "Well, maybe you didn't."
Which, I
maybe that's why Brock stuck around.
Brock's a real one for that. And so it's the end of the movie. And
after the credits,
there's a cute little Mew scene.
Oh, yeah.
Is there another one too?
Because I was going to talk about Team Rocket.
Oh, okay, you do it.
I think this is a theme with all of the movies, if I remember. I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But Team Rocket, we have a nice little scene of them on the island that Mewtwo was using. It seems completely.
Oh, that's right.
Seems completely clear of anything, even any like remnant of a building or structure. It's just covered in grass and flowers. And Team Rocket's just stranded there. Yeah. Like, what were we doing here? That
is right. I forgot about that. It's just, again, abrupt ending. I feel like I'm like, are you kidding? You erased his memories. Like what? But it makes sense. It's a Pokemon movie. Like if you had those memories, like, would you really like continue on in the same way? Like
that's not
probably
canon.
not.
That's not anime canon.
So overall, one of the things that I said, one of our things that was like, does it hold up as a movie, or could it be split into episodes? And does it feel like a good Pokemon movie?
I think yes. Well, yeah. Yes, it holds up as a movie for me. Yes, it's a good Pokemon movie for me. It's only 75 minutes. I don't think it could have technically time length-wise could have been separated into episodes, but in terms of the story and all that,
impact, if it had been broken into episodes like of the anime, it would not have been as impactful. It would not have been as intense.
Yeah, because could you imagine having like a weekly wait? Because that would have been the cutoff too, for sure. Ash coming in with all of the original Pokemon again and having that face off before they said anything, it would have cut to be continued.
Absolutely, and then you have to wait for it to. And nobody's used to doing that anymore. Everybody just likes to binge watch because episodes get released immediately on streaming services.
Yeah, unless you're a Marvel fan. But this is a Pokemon podcast.
Yes, this is a Pokemon podcast. And so does it feel like a good Pokemon movie? I said, this is the Pokemon movie. Like, I'm amazed that this was the first one. For
a first movie, this was a good one to start with.
Like, and when I think of Pokemon movies, my brain goes to this. And it goes to the fighting scene. Like, this is the most memorable Pokemon movie for me, even though I forgot most of it.
Like my brother in my head constantly if I'm thinking about a Pokemon movie. Or it's like, it's this and Pokemon 2000 are my quintessential movies.
Which... speaking of Pokemon 2000, that will be the next movie that we review. So if you enjoyed this, stay tuned for that. But we have a little bit of time left. I would love to just gripe about the remake.
Yes, please do, because I have watched the remake, but it's been a while.
Okay.
So please go off. What
I didn't take too many notes about it, but overall, and I might have been a little salty because I just came from watching the original and then watching it immediately after. I was like...
Feel cheated.
Like, I was like, the style and the 3D animation, it works for certain movies. When you're remaking something that had such beautiful animation, hand-drawn animation, like the CGI 3D kind of stuff made the movie almost unwatchable for me. I almost shut it off after like 10 minutes. I was like, I don't think I can do it. And... because the animation is different, the coloring is all different. Like the first lab scene, the mood is completely different. It's super bright and sterile. Like everybody is seen clearly, like an actual lab. But the removal of like the shadows on the scientists' faces, the sepia tones, it totally changes the mood. But then
I can imagine it might take away.
But then they make it like more epic because it's like you can make the explosions look cooler and like everything's 3D. And so like, because of that, like, I get it. But the whole time watching this movie, super uncanny valley vibes. Like, so bad. Because it's just like, you don't look like Ash. I don't know if any of the characters didn't look like the characters, because it's a different style.
Yeah.
But also,
Ash did always throw me off in the marketing for this one.
I don't know if it was the same voice actor, but whoever did the voice acting for Ash sounded like Ash.
I think they kept the same.
Everybody else was, again, Uncanny Valley, because it's like, these are not the voices I remember for these characters. And I get it. Like, I mean, it's 20 years later, like, or however many years later, like, you're not going to have the same people voicing it. But it was so different. Or those people are going
to get older.
Exactly.
And, like, so their voices are going to change.
It was so different. Like, Misty, like, I just couldn't do it. And speaking of voices, the dub on this movie is incredibly bad. It is really, really bad.
Really?
Yeah. Which is shocking because, I mean,
dub on the first one was real good.
The dub on the first one was really good. This movie was made in 2020. Like, I mean, dubs have been around for so long at this point. It's like, for it to be that bad, I was really shocked, and I was really taken out of the movie because of it. I could have watched the original, sure, with subtitles, but like, Curious how they source their cast then. If it was a Netflix original, it might not have stayed away from union actors. So I have no idea, but the dub was really bad. Gosh. And, you can get over that though. Like, I watched the whole movie, like, it's fine. But one of my major things was they took away Mew's theme. Every time Mew was on screen, it was like very minor. There was like some sort of like musical notes, not even close to the original. And I was like, the character of Mew, like, does not seem like Mew. And I have in my notes, they ruined, in all caps, the windmill scene. Because it is not cute. It is so different. Like, he doesn't just fall and fall and fall. He like kind of like jumps around and like stuff like that. And he's not doing the whole. I was devastated because that is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I also wrote Mew is soulless in this movie. It is like, I just couldn't get into it.
How could they massacre my boy?
I know. I was so upset. And then my only other two notes, like, so overall, I was not a big fan, but it was kind of cool to see like how they changed it. And like I mentioned, not 1-to-1. They rewrote the script in a lot of parts. Some of the lines were the same. Most of the movie was the same. Like, they didn't add any major scenes or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They might have extended some scenes and stuff, but still relatively close. But Jesse and James are not Vikings in this movie. They are singing sailors on a Lapras boat.
Okay, so for one, my problem is the Vikings joke is gone now. So How dare they? And then also, but at the same time, I'm like, as ridiculous as that is, more believable for the Pokemon world.
It totally is. Because, like, I mean, it's like a Lapras paddle boat. It's kind of a cool design. But I was like, man, it's a completely different vibe. And I was like, they're singing. And I'm like, I don't like this as much as them, like, pretending to be Vikings. So, like, at the same time, I get it.
Also different eras, though. So I don't know if that would have gone
I think off
as well with audiences.
I think that is why they changed it. So, again, I understand. But I was like, man, that was such a good scene in the first one. And then my last note here is the fight scene is more intense in the remake, in my opinion, because there's no song. It's just fighting.
I know there's no song.
And
don't know how I feel about that.
The song was like such a quintessential part of that original scene in the movie. So that being said, like, I didn't prefer this one more, but it just made it seem a little bit more intense because it was just so focused on the fighting. And then because it's a 3D like CGI movie, like, you can you can do it with hand-drawn anime too, but there was a lot of different like cool camera angles during the scene. So like they'd swing it around to like all the different Pokemon, and it's just, that was pretty unique. But overall, my hot take is I did not like the remake. And if you like the first movie, I'd say give it a watch. Again, it's a little bit longer. It's closer to an hour and a half. But it's worth being able to see the difference and comparing the two. Because it's not often that when a movie is remade like that, it's not usually super close like it was. So I just enjoyed being able to like see the difference. But like I said, I was not super happy about the differences. So I'm glad I watched it, but I encourage you to watch it as well, just to see what you think about that too.
I know. I'll be rewatching it probably tonight.
So, and I'll be very curious to see what you think about that. So yeah, overall it was a great movie. I had a fun time being able to like have a little bit of a nostalgia trip and go back in time. And
absolutely, I loved getting to revisit this movie and just rediscovering so much that I'd forgotten about it, and getting to actually, because I never like look at movies like this and go analytical. Not to say that this was like hyper analytical, but
no, but like taking notes on it, like looking at
this
it
is the first time I've watched a movie with a notebook in my hand.
Absolutely, and so I
got more out of it.
And then I enjoyed being able to talk about it with you because like there are certain things like, you know, like you missed the foreshadowing and I missed the canon difference and some of the lines. And it's just cool to be able to like unpack that with somebody that also like really enjoys the film. So that was fun. And I mean, we are planning on doing more.
Absolutely. Definitely got Pokemon Movie 2000 lined up for future. I don't know if we want to cover all of the individual movies, but there were definitely some key ones that each of us wanted to get into.
So, there's so many Pokemon movies that like I agree with you. I don't think we're going to be able to get to all of them.
It's like 20 to 24-ish.
Something crazy like that. So what we're going to focus on the ones that we remember the most or remember liking the most and talking about those. So stay tuned for that. That'll be down the line. Maybe the next episode. I don't know. Because we have some cool other ideas in the works, particularly visual episodes with a video component.
Physical media related.
Exactly, because we have two very cool ideas that we would like to do. One of which is a trading card game episode.
Learning a little bit about the TCG, busting open some packs, as well as me teaching Emily to play after I refresh myself.
I have never played the trading card game, so Chris is going to attempt to teach me, and we bought this cool My First Battle trading card game.
A small box of 2 mini decks and enough that you need to play like a mini version of the card game.
Which will be a good way to like ease in and learn. So I'm excited for that. And then we've also bought models. So Pokemon has model kits that you can buy and put together. They're a little less involved than something like Warhammer because you can just snap them out and snap them on. But you can do more if you want to. Like you can sand them down and stuff.
Sand them down, get some paint on them, make some shiny Pokemon, whatever. So
I have never built a Pokemon model, so we are going to attempt to do that during the podcast as well while we yap about some Pokemon.
Absolutely, and very much looking forward to that.
Me too. Yeah. So we've got some exciting things coming up. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we did not introduce ourselves in the beginning. So
we did not.
So let's introduce ourselves at the end because why not?
Getting wacky and wild up in here.
Let's flip it around. Why not? So I've been your co-host, Emily Brewer.
And I've been your co-host, Chris Lavalette.
And thank you so much for tuning in to episode 3 of Team Yap, the Pokemon podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.